Chapter 17, A Town United. Holly stood before the antique mirror in her bedroom, her reflection flickering with magical energy as she practiced her speech. The weight of responsibility pressed heavily on her shoulders, knowing that the future of Merry Hollow hung on her words. "Citizens of Merry Hollow," she began, her voice trembling slightly before she steadied it with a deep breath. "We stand at a crossroads." Her reflection shimmered, briefly showing an older, more confident version of herself. Holly blinked, startled, but the image was gone. She squared her shoulders, drawing strength from the glimpse of what she could become. "You can do this," she told her reflection firmly. "For Merry Hollow. For the balance of magic itself." The town hall was packed to capacity, an undercurrent of tension and fear palpable in the air. Holly stood on the stage, flanked by Jack, Juniper, and Pepper. Mayor Cordelia Candy Cane wrung her hands nervously as she called the meeting to order. "Citizens of Merry Hollow," the mayor began, her usually cheerful voice strained, "we've gathered here today to address the recent disturbances in our town's magic. Miss Holly Evergreen has some important information to share with us all." As Holly stepped forward, a murmur ran through the crowd. She could see the worry and confusion on their faces, mixed with a stubborn resistance to change that had been cultivated over centuries of eternal Christmas. "Friends, neighbors," Holly began, her voice carrying clearly through the hall, "I know you're frightened. The magic we've always relied on is changing, and that's scary. But what I'm about to tell you may be even more difficult to hear." She took a deep breath and launched into the story of Merry Hollow's true history. As she spoke of the founders' decision to bind the winter spirits, of the imbalance they had unknowingly created, the crowd's reaction shifted from disbelief to anger. "Lies," shouted Eggnog Eddie, the surly owner of the Tipsy Elf Tavern. "Our eternal Christmas is a blessing, not some magical mistake." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd. Holly felt her heart sink, but she pressed on, her voice growing stronger with conviction. "I understand your disbelief," she said. "But think about it. Haven't you ever wondered why we're the only place with eternal Christmas? Haven't you felt that something was off?" A hush fell over the crowd as her words sank in. Holly could see doubt creeping into their eyes, replacing the knee-jerk anger. "The truth is," she continued, "we've been living in an artificial bubble, cut off from the natural cycle of seasons. And in doing so, we've not just imprisoned winter spirits like Glacia, we've imprisoned ourselves." She went on to describe their journey into Glacia's realm, painting a vivid picture of the beauty and necessity of true winter. As she spoke, she could see the townspeople's expressions changing, wonder replacing fear. "But what about our Christmas magic?" asked Tinsel Twinkletoes, her bell-adorned hat jingling as she wrung her hands. "Are we supposed to just give that up?" Holly smiled, shaking her head. "Not at all. In fact, that's where the true spirit of Christmas comes in. It's not about eternal decorations or never-ending carols. It's about joy, generosity, and coming together in the darkest times. And those are things we can carry with us all year round, through every season." She gestured to Jack, who stepped forward. "Jack is going to demonstrate how Christmas and winter magic can work in harmony." Jack raised his hands, and a swirl of snow and ice formed in the air above the crowd. But instead of the harsh, dangerous winter they had come to fear, this was gentle and beautiful. Snowflakes danced in intricate patterns, forming shapes that evoked both the coziness of Christmas and the quiet beauty of a winter forest. As the crowd watched in awe, Jack spoke, his voice soft but carrying clearly. "Winter isn't something to be feared or locked away. It's a necessary part of the natural cycle, a time of rest and renewal. And when balanced with the warmth of Christmas spirit, it can create something truly magical." The ice and snow coalesced into a miniature scene of Merry Hollow, showing the town as it could be, decorated for Christmas, yes, but with natural snow falling gently, the balance of seasons restored. Juniper stepped forward next, her wild magic adding a touch of autumn gold and spring green to the display. As someone who left Mary Hollow and saw the outside world, she said, I can tell you that there's beauty in change, in the turning of seasons. We've been missing out on so much by clinging to our eternal Christmas. The crowd was silent, absorbing her words. Holly could see the conflict on their faces, the struggle between fear of change and the growing realization that change might be necessary, and even beautiful. Suddenly, a voice called out from the back of the hall. She's right. Everyone turned to see Frosty Iceheart 3, looking smaller and more vulnerable than ever before. I let my fear and anger twist me, made me do terrible things. But now I see, we need balance. We need change. This admission from the town's most notorious winter magic user seemed to break a dam. All around the hall, people began to speak up, sharing their own doubts and fears, but also their hopes for a new Mary Hollow. Holly watched in amazement as long-standing grudges began to thaw. Eggnog Eddie, who had been so vehemently opposed at first, was now deep in conversation with Tinsel Twinkletoes, their heads bent together as they discussed ideas for seasonal drink specials. Ginger Snapdragon, the hot-tempered dragon shifter who ran the hot cocoa stand, approached Frosty Snowman with an outstretched hand. I reckon we could work together, she said gruffly. Your ice sculptures would look mighty fine next to my cocoa stand, if you're willing. Frosty Snowman's coal eyes twinkled as he shook her hand, frost and steam mingling in the air between them. I believe that could be arranged, my dear. Perhaps a collaboration is in order, ice-sculpted mugs for your famous cocoa? As the hall buzzed with excitement and reconciliation, Mayor Candy Cane called for order. It seems, she said, her voice wobbling with emotion, that we have a decision to make. All in favor of redefining Mary Hollow's relationship with winter, of seeking a true balance of seasons while maintaining the spirit of Christmas year-round, say I. The AI that rose from the crowd was deafening, a unified voice of hope and determination that brought tears to Holly's eyes. As the meeting concluded and people began to file out of the hall, still chattering excitedly about the changes to come, Holly felt a tugging on her sleeve. She looked down to see Pepper Peppermint, her young apprentice, pointing out the window with wide eyes. Look, Miss Holly. Pepper exclaimed. It's snowing. Sure enough, as they stepped outside, gentle flakes of natural snow were drifting down from the sky. It wasn't the magical, ever-present snow they were used to, but something new and wondrous. The citizens of Mary Hollow stood in awe, many reaching out to catch snowflakes on their tongues or in their hands, marveling at the delicate, unique patterns. Holly felt Jack's cool hand slip into hers, and she turned to see him smiling, a look of peace on his face she had never seen before. It's beautiful, he said softly. Real winter, in harmony with Christmas magic. Just as it should be. Juniper appeared on Holly's other side, her wild magic causing small bursts of colorful leaves to swirl among the snowflakes. We did it, she said, bumping her shoulder against Holly's. We actually did it. As they watched the town experience its first true snowfall in centuries, Holly felt a profound sense of rightness settle over her. The path ahead wouldn't be easy, there was still so much to do, so much to figure out. But looking at the joy and wonder on the faces of her friends and neighbors, she knew they were on the right track. So, Juniper said, a mischievous glint in her eye, what's next, O wise leader of the new Mary Hollow? Holly laughed, feeling lighter than she had in weeks. Well, first things first, I think it's time we planned a real winter festival. And then, who knows? We've got a whole year of seasons to rediscover. As they began to discuss plans for the future, the snow continued to fall gently around them. Mary Hollow was changing, growing, finding a new balance between the magic of Christmas and the natural cycle of seasons. And at the heart of it all stood Holly, Jack, Juniper, and their friends, ready to guide their beloved town into a new era of magical harmony.